Have you ever wondered how a simple act of gratitude can completely change someone's life? What if that someone was the person who believed in you when no one else did? I've always considered myself a lucky guy, Growing up in Long Beach wasn't easy. The streets have a unique way of shaping a man, sometimes for better, sometimes not so much. But today, looking back as my customized Cadillac glides through the familiar streets of my old neighborhood, I feel a mixture of nostalgia and gratitude that all the money in the world couldn't buy. The California sun hits my face as I observe the changes in the neighborhood through the tinted windows. Some things have improved, others have worsened, but the characteristic smell of the sea mixed with hot asphalt remains the same. This aroma always transports me back to 1989, when I was just Calvin Broadus Jr., a skinny kid with dreams bigger than life itself. Turn right at the next corner. I tell my driver, feeling a twinge in my stomach. It's been over 20 years since I've visited this specific part of the city. The nervousness I feel now is different from any sensation before stepping on stage. It's deeper, more personal. We park in front of a weathered building, quite different from what I remembered. The sign Long Beach Community Music Center is hanging by a single screw, swaying slightly with the afternoon breeze. This place was once vibrant, full of life and music. Now it seems just an empty shell of what it once represented. "You sure this is the place, boss?" asks my security guard, Warren, looking suspiciously at the building that appears abandoned. "I'm sure," I respond, adjusting my sunglasses. "Some messages on Instagram brought me here. Seems like Mr. Stevens still teaches in this place." Mr. James Stevens. The name still evokes an automatic, almost Pavlovian respect to me. He was the first adult outside my family who saw something in me beyond trouble. The first to put an instrument in my hands and say, "This isn't just a horn, Calvin. It's your voice when words aren't enough." As I walk toward the entrance, flashbacks flood my mind with the force of a tide. Suddenly, I'm no longer Snoop Dogg, the global icon. I'm just Calvin, that scared and rebellious 13-year-old, with pants too baggy and an attitude bigger than my skinny body. It was on a suffocating summer day in 1987. My mother, Beverly, grabbed my arm firmly after receiving the third call from school that month. "I won't let you follow the same path as your cousin," she said, with that fierce determination in her eyes that I knew all too well. The cousin she mentioned was serving 5 years for armed robbery. "You're going to this music center after school," she declared, leaving no room for discussion. The church pastor said they accept children for free. I huffed, dragged my feet, slammed doors. Music? Classical? It was a joke. In the streets of Long Beach, respect came in other forms, not from playing Mozart or whoever. I already knew the rhythms that mattered. Those of improvised beats on street corners, rhymes exchanged in freestyle battles, the accelerated pulse when the police got too close. "Over my dead body," I muttered when she pushed me through the door of the same building, which back then was clean and well-maintained. And then, just as I was planning to turn around and run, a tall, black man with military posture but a gentle smile approached. He wore a navy blue blazer with patches on the elbows that had clearly been tailored for a younger, more robust body. His tortoiseshell glasses hung crooked on his nose, as if constantly slipping, and he automatically adjusted them every few seconds. "You must be Calvin," he said, extending his hand as if I were an adult worthy of respect. "I'm James Stevens. Welcome to our humble temple of sounds." I didn't shake his hand, just shrugged, looking at the floor. "Your mother told me you have problems with authority," he continued, not seeming offended. "That's good." That caught me by surprise. I raised my eyes, suspicious. "Good." The greatest musicians in history had problems with authority, he explained, guiding me down the hallway without touching me, respecting my space. Bach was arrested for insubordination. Miles Davis turned his back to the audience while playing. Beethoven threw a plate of hot food at a waiter. Against my will, a smile began forming at the corner of my mouth. "Come with me," he invited, stopping in front of a door. "I want to show you something." The room was small but impressive, with instruments of all kinds carefully organized. In the center, a shiny black piano seemed to reign over the space. "Choose an instrument," said Mr. Stevens. "Any one." I looked around, not knowing what to do with this sudden freedom. For the first time in my life, an adult was giving me a genuine choice. "I don't know how to play anything," I admitted, my voice coming out lower than intended. "No one is born knowing," he replied with a smile that illuminated his dark eyes. Michelangelo wasn't born sculpting marble. He started by breaking stones. After a few minutes of observing, I was drawn to a golden horn in the corner. I picked it up awkwardly, feeling the cold, heavy metal in my hands. Mr. Stevens didn't say anything, just observed as I examined the instrument. After a while, I asked, "How do you play this?" Instead of taking the horn or giving me a theoretical lecture, he simply sat at the piano and began to play. It wasn't anything classical or boring. It was a deep, visceral blues that seemed to tell a story of pain and hope without a single word. I was hypnotized. When he finished, he asked, "What did you feel?" "It seemed sad, but not in a bad way," I responded hesitantly. "Like it was telling something real." Mr. Stevens smiled, that smile I would come to know so well in the following years. Part pride, part deep understanding. "This," he said, pointing to the horn in my hands, "isn't just a piece of metal. It's your voice when words aren't enough. It's mathematics that you feel, Calvin. It's physics transformed into emotion." He stood up, approached, and gently adjusted my posture. "And you, my young man, have a natural gift for rhythms. I see it in the way you move, how you speak. There's music inside you waiting to come out." In that moment, something changed within me. It was as if someone had turned on a light in a room I didn't even know existed. For the first time, an adult wasn't telling me what I couldn't do or what I was doing wrong. He was showing me possibilities I had never imagined. "Can I really learn to play this?" I asked, my voice full of a vulnerability that I would normally hide at all costs. "Not only can you, but you will," he responded with a certainty that seemed to move mountains. "And one day, Calvin Broadus, you will make music that the whole world will want to hear." I didn't believe him that day. How could I? But something about that first lesson made me come back the next week. And the next. And the next. Now, more than 3 decades later, the door of the same building creaks open, revealing a dimly lit corridor. The smell of mold mixed with cheap cleaning products fills the environment, so different from the aroma of polished wood and leather in the premium studios where I work today. In the background, I hear the feeble sound of an out-of-tune piano and the patient voice of someone giving instructions. A voice that, despite time, still carries the same power to transform lives. "No, Marcus. Feel the beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This isn't just mathematics, it's the heart beating. Let your fingers dance over the keys as if they're telling a story." That voice, older, more tired, raspy around the edges, but unmistakable. The same cadence, the same infinite patience. My throat instantly closes with an emotion I can't name. I stop at the door of the improvised classroom, my heart thundering against my ribs. For a moment, I'm transported in time. Not the Snoop who conquers crowds, but the insecure Calvin seeking approval in this man's eyes. Mr. Stevens, now with hair completely white like cotton clouds and shoulders curved by the weight of decades of teaching, sits beside a thin boy of approximately 12 years. The boy, with short braids and worn sneakers that seem too big for his feet, bites his lip in concentration as he tries to master the out-of-tune piano that has seen decades of eager fingers. The contrast is painful. The same man who once taught in spacious rooms with top-of-the-line instruments is now confined to this unlikely space. The room is practically empty, except for some broken instruments piled like wounded soldiers in the corners. Yellowed music theory posters, some handwritten by Mr. Stevens himself, I recognize, stubbornly hang from the peeling walls, like the last guardians of a dream that refuses to die. A clarinet with only half its keys. A guitar missing 2 strings. A dented trombone that appears to have been rescued from some accident. Still, there's a moving dignity in the way everything is organized clean within the possibilities. Better, much better, encourages Mr. Stevens when the boy finally gets a sequence of notes right. His hand, now marked by age spots and prominent veins, gently rests on the boy's shoulder. Do you hear that? It's the sound of doors opening. See? You have this inside you. You always did. You just need to believe. My heart doesn't just tighten, it implodes. A kaleidoscope of memories explodes behind my eyes. The same words, the same tone, the same look. The same damn words he told me countless times when my clumsy hands would drop the horn, when my frustration made me want to quit, when the streets seemed to offer an easier path. I feel a hot tear slide beneath my sunglasses, and I make no move to wipe it away. How is it possible that in a world that has changed so much, this man remains the same in his essence? Unlike me, who has reinvented myself so many times, he remains a constant beacon, guiding lost youth to safer waters. Mr. Stevens still has the gift, I say, finally entering the room. The old teacher abruptly raises his head, his eyes narrowing to make out who's at the door. Recognition takes a few seconds to arrive. Calvin? He asks, uncertainty in his voice. Calvin Broadus? The very same, I respond, removing my sunglasses, but most people call me Snoop now. Mr. Stevens rises so quickly he almost knocks over the piano bench. He seems not to believe what he sees, and for a moment I fear the surprise might be too much for his elderly heart. "My God, it's really you," he exclaims, walking toward me with uncertain steps. I see you on TV and magazines, but I never imagined." I embrace my former teacher, feeling how fragile he has become. When we separate, I see something I had never seen before. Tears in Mr. Stevens' eyes. "Do you remember Marcus?" he asks, pointing to the confused boy at the piano. "This is Calvin. I mean Snoop Dogg, the student I always talk about." The boy's eyes widen, mouth agape. The real Snoop Dogg. Nobody believes Mr. Stevens when he says he taught you. "Well, you better believe it, young man," I respond with a smile. This man here not only taught me music, he saved my life. The next few hours pass like a whirlwind. We talk about the old times, about how the first rhyme I wrote was for one of Mr. Stevens' class projects, about how he paid out of his own pocket so I could participate in a regional talent contest, about how he never, not once, gave up on me, even when I was about to give up on myself. The community center will close next month, he tells me as we walk through the nearly empty building. Budget cuts. You know how it is. Art is always the first to suffer. I look around at the walls that once housed so many dreams, including mine. "How many students do you have now?" "Only 7, he responds with a sigh. Most parents can't even afford the transportation to bring their children here. I pick up some of them when I can, but with gas prices the way they are..." In that moment, something crystallizes within me. An idea. A purpose. What if I told you we could change that? I ask, feeling the excitement grow. What if this place not only survived, but became the best music center on the West Coast? Mr. Stevens smiles sadly. "That would be a dream, Calvin. But dreams need money, and that's something we don't have." "But I do," I respond simply. What happened in the following weeks was a roller coaster that not even I could have predicted. I went back to the studio with a mission. I gathered my contacts, called friends in the industry from Dr. Dre to Pharrell. "We need to save a special place," was all I needed to say. We organized a benefit concert. Not just any concert, the biggest event Long Beach had ever seen. Back to the roots. Snoop Dogg and Friends is what we called it. We sold all the tickets in 20 minutes. On the day of the event, I brought Mr. Stevens on stage. He was so nervous I thought he might faint. "This man," I said into the microphone, pointing to my teacher, "saw potential in a troubled kid when no one else did. He taught me that rhythm isn't just something you hear, it's something you feel in your soul." The crowd applauded. But the real moment happened afterward backstage, when I showed Mr. Stevens the architectural plans for the new James Stevens Art Center, not just a place for music lessons, but a complete complex with recording studios, dance halls, theater, and visual art spaces. This can't be real," he muttered, hands trembling as he held the plans. "It's more real than anything," I responded. "And this is just the beginning. We're creating a foundation. scholarships for community children, instruments for those who can't afford them, free transportation. That's when Mr. Stevens, the always composed man I knew, broke down, literally fell to his knees, crying like a child. "Why?" he asked between sobs. "Why do all this?" I knelt beside him, feeling my own tears forming. "Because you gave me a voice when I thought I had nothing to say. Now I want to give that same chance to thousands of other children." Today, 3 years after that encounter, the James Stevens Art Center is the pride of Long Beach. More than 500 children pass through its doors daily. Our students have performed at the Kennedy Center and the Hollywood Bowl. We have partnerships with the country's top universities. And Mr. Stevens? He finally officially retired last year at 78, but he still appears almost every day, now not as a teacher, but as emeritus director and living inspiration for everyone. Sometimes, when I visit the center, I find him sitting alone in the main piano room, just observing the children passing through the corridor, each carrying an instrument, a dream, a possibility. It was worth it, he told me recently, his voice calm and satisfied. Every struggle, every sacrifice, seeing what you become, seeing what all these children can become. That's worth more than any fortune. I nodded silently, knowing words would never be enough to express what I feel, because in the end, it wasn't me who saved Mr. Stevens or his dream of teaching music. It was he who saved me long ago when he planted a seed of possibility in a boy who thought his only future would be in the streets. And that's the deepest truth I've learned in my journey. Sometimes, the best way to say thank you isn't just saying thank you, but creating something lasting that continues the legacy of those who believed in us. Something that transforms gratitude into opportunity for others. So, the next time you encounter someone who's made a difference in your life, remember, it's never too late to give back. And when we do, the impact can be greater than we ever imagined. What began as a surprise visit to an old teacher in a rundown studio transformed into a movement that continues to grow, touching lives, making millions smile through tears of inspiration. And that, my friends, is more valuable than all the success in the world.